just do it all in Sacramento, before committees, and then the, appropriations committee, and then the floor, and then send it over to the assembly for more hearings. So it's really good for me to be able to come out to my communities, particularly, Solano County is about 49% of my district. The next highest county, I think, is like Napa County, which is about 12%. So really, this is being in Solano County and getting the input from people in Solano County, the biggest part of my district's very, very important to me, and I appreciate the invitation to be here tonight to present it to you. So, I really believe that, and I'm not, you guys are all the people that have written the books, have read the books, have lived early childhood learning. It's really kind of interesting because my son used to be a development guy for Napa's community resources for children for early childhood learning. And frankly, as a county supervisor for 14 years, we never got into education. That was always the school boards and the superintendents, and they did all the education stuff, and they always said, keep your nose out of our business. But when you get up to the Capitol, that's not acceptable, because people expect their elected representatives to know more about education, whether you're in the Assembly or the Senate. And that's one of the things that I've really, have learned since being on the job over the last 4 years. We get all these bills, we talk about the prison pipeline, we talk about all the prison expenses, all the social service expenses, and and all these other bills. When you talk about homelessness, and you're talking about affordable housing, people not being able to get jobs that are good enough to afford a livable wage, in some way, somehow, much of that touches, a lot of it touches education, but a lot of it touches early childhood education. And so promoting equity, opportunity, and prosperity, and an investment in our kids that'll pay for itself, many, many, many times over. So there are a number of different things that can help accomplish this goal and move the ball forward in a meaningful way. My bill is, again, SB 837. It was a way for me to get in the game, so to speak, and get something on the table so that we could have community conversations and we could have statewide conversations. This is one idea, and by no way, shape, or form is it the only idea or necessarily the best ideas, or for that matter, that's what the committee process is designed to do, is to be able to get information from communities, make amendments to these bills so that we can make a stronger, better policy going forward for education, in the state of California. The other thing is that it's hit home with me, as now I'm a grandfather of 7 grandkids, and I see my kids both working. There's not one of my 4 kids that's married that's fortunate enough to be able to have their wife to be able to stay home, or their dad to be able to stay home with the kids. They're both working heavy duty schedules, and child care is expensive. Not only is child care expensive, but with good child care and good early learning child care, it's even more expensive. So having something like this, I think, would be an asset as it is. So I think in the state we've been successful at putting more and more child care slots in the queue, and I've been a big supporter of that over the last 3 years in the legislature, and I'll continue. Right now, Kevin McCarty has got a bill that will add more, and Kevin and I have talked. He'd like my bill to go through, I'd like his bill to go through, but we're not competing. What we're trying to do is we're trying to do a better job for early childhood education in the state of California. But even with what we're doing right now with the child care slots that we do have, I'm sure you'll agree, it's nowhere near enough. And it covers the really low income, but not much above that. And once again, for the middle class, there's absolutely nothing. In so many ways, that's the way it is in our higher education as well. If from K through 12, if you're middle class, well, it's a good bet. But beyond that, on the early end and the college end, it's not very good. So in 2010, California created, as most of you know, the Transitional Kindergarten, TK for short, to serve as a bridge from preschool to kindergarten. As the first year of the 2-year kindergarten experience, students born between September 2nd and December 2nd are eligible for TK. Children enrolled in TK experience higher test scores, are equipped with better social skills, and more confident and less likely to be held down a grade. That's not me telling you that. That's the statistics. And if you disagree with them, I'm not here, to get a pat on the back or anything else. I want some good dialogue. If you disagree with anything I say, look at this is what we can have in our society as opposed to what's happening sometimes, further east, 3,000 miles east of here. I think we can have a respectful conversation, and I hope to get that from you. But this year, my bill would build on that TK and increase and expand enrollment to all 4-year-olds. And it would be over a time period, because we can't expect the school administrators to just make sure that the physical campuses are ready on day one. That's impractical. And instead of bringing the rest of the other 8 months, the kids that were the other 8 months out of the year that aren't in TK right now, I don't think it's probably really smart either to put all those on. They've got to be systematically brought in. So maybe you'd have another 3 months, and another 2 months or something of that nature. And believe me, that is something that if this goes anywhere, we're going to want that input back from school administrators, because the last thing we want to do is create a problem so that now it's burdening the K through 12 system already. Another thing that I'm quite, let me say it a different way, that I'm not interested in is giving the school system yet another task and no funding for the task. Because that is the worst thing that we can do, because now that's robbing from the educational experience from the K through 12. So let me just tell you, the chances, and I don't think my staff, Sacramento staff, would be offended if I said this, but I don't really think that this bill is going to probably, it's conceivably could pass the legislature, conceivably, if we have a funding source for it, which by the way is $1 billion. And that's nothing to sneeze on. And frankly, I wouldn't take this bill forward and ask for a final vote on it if I was giving the K through 12 system a $1 billion bill spread out over 58 counties. Because I just don't want to do that yet. Seeing what's already happened in school districts today, the pensions are creating more and more issues related to the amount of money that's getting to student success. And I'm not going to throw another burden on the school system. But more than anything else, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get this conversation started, because I've talked to John Chung, I've talked to Gavin Newsom, and I've talked to Antonio Villaraigosa, and I've talked to Delane Easton, and at least those four are bound and determined, while they're governor of the state of California, whoever gets there, is going to be active in early childhood education, early childhood learning, and starting to fund our education like we are the 6th largest economy in the world. The idea that we're continuing to fund our education at 46, 45, even if it's 39, really? I mean, come on. This is, I can't remember what state it was. And Lizette, I think what is it, Mississippi that's, got, better than we are in terms of, per childhood education, funding for our schools. Once again, that's not acceptable. So, given the inequities and access to early education across, I think that, at least right now, I'm just going to give you these points because I want some conversation afterwards, okay? So this study, we said TK gives school districts a chance to reduce opportunity gaps by expanding school readiness programs for the children they serve. And the research consistently tells us the high quality early childhood education programs give children a strong start, we all know that, on the path to a college or a career, particularly with low income children and English learners, English as second language, it helps them the most. Additionally, it shows that the 1 year universal high quality preschool program would generate $7 for every dollar that is expended, and other benefits for the California labor force, the competitiveness of the state's economy, and the economic and social equality that we all feel is very, very important, to make sure that we are touching all those. Funding for this proposal or any proposal builds towards universal early childhood education, like I said before, is a challenge. I have something in mind, but it would take a vote of the people. Proposition 13 has been the bane, frankly, of all our existence in government.